Very good. Okay. All right. So, I'll start over. So we're going to be learning Illustrator. We're going to be learning Photoshop. We're going to be learning InDesign, all in the space of one semester. It's doable. It's doable. We're gonna get you to a place where you can, actualize your creative visions and your designs. But I'm not gonna be able to teach you everything about the software. So you need to kind of take it upon yourself. Like for every one thing I teach you in class, you're gonna kind of have to teach yourself 3 more things on your own. Luckily, there's tons of resources out there for that. I shared one with you, which is the lynda.com, the LinkedIn learning videos. I posted a page in Campus on how you can get access to that through the library, not the campus library, but the Fresno library. You can also do like a free 30-day trial, or you could just subscribe. Oh, goodbye. Okay. But you're gonna have to find ways to figure out the other tools that there's certain tools that I just haven't, we don't have. One, we don't have time to go over all of them. Two, I want to focus on the most basic fundamental tools of the software, but there are fancier tools out there that do fancy things that are kind of like newer to the software. I mean, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's unnecessary, like the whole, what was the lens flare tool, like ridiculous. Okay. But there are newer tools that I have not included in this because I want you to master the most fundamental tools. So, and I just wanted to, if I can teach you how to teach yourself, it's the best thing I could do for you. Okay. I'm definitely gonna teach you things, but if I can give you the confidence that you know how to do a little Google research and find a video tutorial or go to the Adobe Support Center. Adobe has tons and tons of content on their site that goes over all of, here's what it looks like. Adobe help.adobe.com. Hi, what can I help you with? Let's type in Pathfinder. We went over that on Tuesday. Okay, here are a ton of articles on things you can do with the Pathfinder tool, and they have videos on there as well. So I just want to point out that this class isn't the end all of everything that you can do with this tool. And this tool is gonna, these programs are gonna be with you for life. They're not going anywhere. You're gonna be professional graphic designers. You're tied to Adobe. I'm sorry. Like it or not, I mean, there are other programs out there. There's Corel Draw. You could get really good at that. I have a cousin who's a graphic designer, and she mostly works in Corel Draw, but it's very specific to the one job that she has. For bitmap, Photoshop kind of things. There's Procreate. A lot of people like to use. And GIMP, yeah, GIMP's been around a long time. So I just wanted to say that, just if you ever feel like I'm not covering everything, there's a reason I've got to get through a certain amount of material. And, we're 3 weeks into this, we've got 16 weeks. We got 3 major applications to go through. So just want to say that there might be things in the toolbar you don't recognize. Look them up, look them up. Find a tutorial or something that explains how they work. And and if you find anything that you have questions about and you want me to go over it, tell me. I'll spend some time and I'll come up with some examples of how that tool works and what it's good for. But in my practice and in my career, I'm trying to focus on the most fundamental tools that'll get you places. So, okay, so today, I don't have a lot of lecture to go through because I want to give you time in class to work on the letter form project, while I'm here physically to be able to help you if you're hitting any problems. So what we're going to go over are the transforms or transformations. Okay. Okay. I think this is important because transformations, this class is not, the name of this class is computer imaging, okay? It's not called Adobe products, right? I'm supposed to be teaching you the fundamentals of digital graphics, despite whatever software we're using. And in digital graphic, transformations are something that happen across all different types of graphic software. So we have transformations in Illustrator, we have transformations in Photoshop. If you're working in 3D, not Adobe, like Maya or something like that, you're going to have transformations. If you're working in code, like you're coding a website, you're working in CSS, you're going to encounter transformations. So they are fundamental to digital graphics. So once you understand them in one space, then that knowledge you can transfer over to any other graphics program that you're working with. So there are, I want to say, four basic transformations that you can do. Okay, move. So this is literally just taking an object from one place and putting it in another place. I know it seems very simple, but there are calculations that have to happen, behind the scenes. It doesn't seem like it, but you're working with an X and a Y axis, and each object has coordinates. And if you move that object, those coordinates change. That's a transformation. Sometimes this is called translate. In code, you were coding a website and you wanted to use a transformation to move something, it would be called translate. just another word for move. We've got rotate. Kind of is what it says. It rotates an object on, you know, some sort of axis that you can define. We've got scale. Scale meaning size, making something larger, making something smaller, scaling. And then the other one, which this way different names. Illustrator calls it shear. So I'm just gonna call it shear, but sometimes it's called skew. This is when you take something and you kind of like tweak it so that it becomes like italicized in a way, if that makes sense. It takes a regular shape and puts it on like a slant. That is shear. So let's play around with these. Okay, I don't have any practice files for you because it's, you know, it's a pretty basic lesson that I'm giving you today, and then we'll work. But we go into Illustrator and let me make a shape. Do like a hexagon or something like that. That looks good. Okay. So a lot of these transformations are kind of intuitive. You're doing them already without even thinking about it. You're clicking on something and moving it here and moving it here and moving it here. Well, by doing that, you are technically, you know, creating a transformation. And there really is no specific tool for that, except for, you know, the direct selection tool. But if I hit enter, notice something happens. Let me do that again. I've got this selected. There's always several different ways to make an effect on a shape, on an object. Sometimes it's just by dragging. Sometimes you want to be more precise and mathematical about it. So if I select this and then I hit return, I get this box right here that's labeled move, and it's giving me some numbers. So it's got a horizontal value of negative 43 point something, vertical of negative 32 point something, distance. I don't exactly know how it calculates distance because you got an X and a Y. It might be the center. Yeah, I'm guessing it's the center. And you also got the angle. So I could actually click and drag this angle tool around, and I would see, we're just seeing a preview here of what would happen if we said okay. So I can enter any kind of value in here. Let's say 100 by 100. And that gives me that kind of distance, and the angle is 45 degrees. Okay, and now I have a couple options here. I can click OK, and then it just moves that shape. Or I can click copy. Let's click copy. So it's going to make a copy of that shape and move it to exactly dimensions that I told it to go to.
Window shortcut. Smooth is Shift Control M.
Shift,
Control M.
Control M? That should be the rectangle. Oh, no, that's just Control M. Okay,
It's Shift Control M.
okay. And then as we learned last time, there's that repeat option, Command D or Control D. Oh, it doesn't work in this instance. Okay, I guess that only works when you're, because remember, if you click and drag and hold down Option, you can create a duplicate. And then if you hit D, it creates more duplicates.
It's the copy with
I did, that's what I just did.
the.
Yeah. Okay, so that's move. So that's the most basic of them. But then you can always just click and drag something around. And like I showed you on Tuesday, you can create guides if you want to measure things out. You can pull out the rulers, create guides, have it snap to the guides, and you can make very precise positioning in that manner. So that is the move tool. Let's jump over to the scale tool. So far we've been working with the direct selection tool, which is the black arrow, and it puts this bounding box around everything. And if you've been playing around, you probably learned that if you grab a corner, you can drag it out and change the size of the object. And if you hold Shift, it stays proportional. If you hold Shift and Option, it's proportional and centered. Okay. This is sort of a shortcut to the scale tool. But back in the day, we didn't have the bounding box around shapes, and we had to use the scale tool. And it still comes in handy sometimes. So this icon right here looks like one rectangle enlarging to another rectangle is the scale tool. I'm going to click on that, and actually I'm going to pull out that whole panel because it's got the other transformation tools I want. But I've got the scale tool. Now, notice that there is like a turquoise or teal crosshairs in the middle of the shape. That's known as the origin point. So now if I click and drag, and it's sometimes helpful to get a little far away from the shape. You can click and drag from anywhere on the page, but to have better control, it's nice to be a little bit of a distance away from the origin point. If I click and drag, now I can affect, and I can flip it and flip it the other way and create that. If I hold down Shift, I maintain somewhat proportions. I mean, it does honor 45 degrees. But the nice thing about using the actual scale tool versus the bounding box is that what if I can move this origin point to anywhere I want. So I could click right here, and now the origin point is in the corner, and I can scale from the corner. So you can get more precise results using the, the legitimate scale tool. So, and I could click again and move that origin point and get it to go there. And, and if I wanted to, let's see, let's grab the scale tool again. And it's back in the middle now, the origin point. If you want to numerically affect the shape, you can hold down the option. So notice how when you hold down the option key, this dot, those dots or a line? It's 3 dots, right? Yeah, there's 3 dots that appear. That's telling you that now if you click, you're gonna get a dialog box. And so now I can actually enter a percentage of how I want it to scale. So right now it looks like non-uniform, so it's not going to be proportional. So I can enter a separate number for the horizontal versus the vertical. If I want it to be proportional, I click on uniform, and let's say I say 50%. And hit tab, and then you get a preview of what 50% looks like. And again, this preview button is selected. I can turn on and off the preview of this. I like the preview. And then I can select, just perform the transformation or make a copy. So if I made a copy, it would look something like that. So this is exactly 50% of its parent. We have a nice little, what would you call that? A nut, a bolt, something like that. So that is the scale tool. Next one, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to draw a line straight up. If you haven't already figured out, 4 lines, which are also called, have strokes, you can adjust the width of the stroke. There is a complete panel right here. It looks like 3 lines of different widths. You can click on that and it'll let you control the weight of the stroke. So I'm going to set this to like 6 point. Okay. And now I want to use the rotate transformation. So there's an icon here in the window. It looks like a circle with an arrow. You can also go to, oh geez, where is it? I always get lost. Oh, right here, object transform, there they are. Oh, that's another transformation I didn't talk about, reflect. Yeah, I knew there was one that was missing. You can choose object transform rotate. I think you could probably right click on it and choose that. Or you can just hit R, just the letter R. And notice that automatically the rotation, the origin point is in the middle. Okay. Now this is another one you want to kind of space your cursor at a distance to use. I'll show you what, if I do it really close, if I click and drag really close, it's a little hard to manage. Like it's a little feisty. But if I click outside, I have more control over the rotation of the object. So I like to give myself a little bit of space. So once again, we might not want the origin point to be in the middle, like say we wanted to make a flower or spokes on a bike or something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this anchor point, and now that is the rotation. So now I can rotate it around that point right there. And again, if I hold down the Option key, I get this right here. What? What happened there? That was weird. That shouldn't happen. This needs to be, no. It's not what you're supposed to do. Gonna hold down Option and click. Option, click. Okay, oh, okay. So if I wanted to do like spokes on a wheel or flowers on a pedal or something like that, I would enter, there's 360 degrees in a circle, right? So if you want them to all be evenly spaced out, you would need a number that divides into, am I saying this correctly? Divides into 360 evenly, something, or 360 divides into it evenly, something like that. The nice thing about Illustrator, it will do the math for you. So let's say I want 10 lines going around a center point. So I'm going to say 360 slash, which stands for divide, divided by 10. And I hit tab. And then I'm going, so that turns out to be 36 degrees. Then I hit copy. And then I can hit D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. And I have got I don't know, what is that? Star, flower, bicycle spokes, slices of cake, pizza, whatever you want to call it. I've made very simply without having to put any guidelines down or anything like that, or just through the dialog box with rotate, I've managed to create a design like that. Cool. Okay. Moving on here. Let's talk about what's the next one? Shear or skew. Let's take a shape. Maybe another hexagon. We like hexagons. We'll do that. Okay, we've got a hexagon here. Wait, why isn't it moving? Why isn't it moving? Why isn't it? Okay. Okay, whatever that was all about. Okay. Underneath, it's hidden underneath the scale tool in the toolbar, or you can go to Object Transform Shear, and well, then you get the dialog box. So I could just use this. I've got to choose horizontal or vertical. Nothing's happening. Oh, okay. I've got to do it up here. There we go. Okay. So I can play around with this angle tool right here, or I could enter in some degrees. Or if I'm using the shear tool, I can simply click and drag and I get, something that's a little tilted, something that's a little funky. There's crazy things you can do with text with this tool. Don't go too crazy. Okay. All right. Be respectful of your typefaces. Someone went to hard lengths to design a very nice and pleasing and proportional typeface. You know, don't destroy that, but sometimes a little, if you're trying to create a sense of a little bit of motion or perspective or something like that, this can come in handy. And if you haven't guessed already, if I hold down the Option key and click, I get that dialog box again, and you can choose between horizontal and vertical shear. And again, you can either copy or just apply the transformation to the actual shape. So that is shear. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. So there's nothing in there. There's no fill. There's no fill, is there? Oh, yeah, there is that. Okay. And then the last transformation that I forgot about, didn't put on the board. Let's look at that one. Reflect. Okay, this one's really handy, but we're gonna need something that's not symmetrical. So let's say a letter form. Letter S. Again, Command Shift and period. If you hold down the Option, it goes even bigger to make something larger, or you can use the drop down up here to choose the point size. I just screwed myself there. Okay. I'm going to choose a different typeface. Gonna go, I don't know, whatever that is. Okay, Marion. Okay. So reflect is really handy. It's like making a mirror image of something. I don't know where the tool is for reflect, to be honest. It might not exist actually. What I usually do is I just,
It's under the rotate section.
oh, it's under rotate. Oh, look at that. Okay, it's under rotate. What I've always done is either the shortcut or I'll click on it and then right click. And if you right click, there's a transform menu right here, and I'll say reflect. Okay, so we can choose whether or not we're going to reflect it horizontally or vertically. I don't think you can do both. Yeah, you can also choose angle. That's interesting. I don't know. Okay, well, whatever. Horizontal, vertical, okay. And then let's do a vertical, and then let's copy it. So now we've created, this is an interesting contrast in shapes, So if you're working with combining two shapes together, like, well, that's an interesting design, right there, like this tail becomes something. Kind of looks like a body part. We won't talk about that. But you get the point. And then I could do it again if I wanted to and make like a quad, go away, a you know, a quad kind of thing. I'm gonna click on, gonna option click here. No, I don't want to do that. Going to right click, transform, reflect, and then do it horizontally and copy it. Now I'm making some really interesting designs. Like, look at all the shapes that are coming out of that. Like, what if you spread that all over the page, like, you know, and then turned it into a scarf or something? I don't know. I'm not a textile designer, but be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. I'll move that up a little bit and see what I can create. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of like that. That's it's a fun design right there. So much you can do with letter forms. I mean, they have such interesting curves and lines and you know, they're so beautiful. And at the same time, they give us the ability to read text and learn things about the world. Like typography is the point at which language becomes visible. So, I mean, don't knock it. It's one of the most important um skills you're going to learn as a designer is to be a good typographic designer. So, any questions so far? Okay. So that's transformations. You're going to use them all your life. I swear. I swear. They're in Photoshop, they're in InDesign. They'll just repeat and repeat. Step and repeat all over again. Okay, so now I think for the rest of class, I want to give you time to work on your type forms, your letter forms for this project. And so that I can help you out. Maybe we'll be here, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes. And then, you know, and then we'll call it. But just as a reminder, since I failed in my attempt to record last class in order to turn a tech a
Text into a vector.
text into vector. I mean, text is vector already, but into outlines. You click on it, you go to type, and you go down to create outlines. And don't forget, it's very handy to go back and forth in the preview modes between outlines and whatever the default is. And the shortcut for that is Command or Control Y. It can really help you out in understanding what is going on with your paths. You know, you might have some complicated compound paths in there that are just frustrating you. If you go Command Y, Control Y, you go back and forth between you know, fill mode and just straight skeletal outlines. So that's really helpful. So, has anyone finished this project already? You did? Oh yeah, you showed me. And it looks
Yeah.
great. Well, if you finished it, you don't have to stick around if you don't want. Unless you want to do it again, do another one, make a collection, make a whole alphabet. Yeah, do 26 of them. Yeah,
Try.
yeah, and then we'll
Get extra
then
credit.
when you get into GD41, you'll have all those characters and you'll learn how to use a typeface building. Is it in, I don't know if you do that in 41 or if it's in the upper division, but at some point you learn, you actually design your own typeface and get it working where you can actually type with it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Jasmine teaches that class. She's very good at it. Me, not so much, not so much. I'm more of a coder. Yeah, more of a coder. Yeah, I like my code, like keeping things simple. But all right, so let's just, I don't know, should we play some music? You know, have a dance party?
Probably in the Zoom recording of reading that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, yeah, so you don't take up so much space in the clouds.
Lecture, and then you just hear music blast.
And then you just hear music. All right, so I will take your advice and I will end the Zoom.
I am so wise beyond my years.
Aren't you now? In a second, I'll take roll. Just you're not here? Seems like you are.
Ask me some- Whoa.